What color do you wear to a funeral? Is it black or white? Or maybe you wear red to a funeral. What color do you wear if you're a bride? Is it white? Is it red? Or maybe it's black? Welcome to another episode of Just in Time Worlds with your host Marie Mullaney. Today I want to talk to you about colors, their importance in building a culture, and how you devise a strategy to make it feel like your colors are both organically designed and a real part of your world building. If you have not yet done so, please do hit the subscribe button down below. And if you would like to join my community of world builders on my Discord server, the link to that is down below as well. Okay, let's get cracking. So first, let's talk a little bit about different colors in our world and where they might come from. In China, white is the color that is worn to funerals. It is the color of mourning. And you could see that one potential place where that could come from is a land that has snowy winters. If your entire landscape turns into ice every winter and becomes a deadly force where much of your population dies, you can potentially end up in a situation where white is a color of mourning. But it could also be the result of white being seen as the absence of color, and that absence of color being regarded as the death or the void. Now, in the Western cultures, white is often seen as a purity, the color of purity, and that's why brides would wear it at their wedding. That kind of derivative for color likely comes from the fact that white is difficult to keep clean and shows the dirt very easily. And that kind of thinking demonstrates then that you would wear it to flex your purity of a sort. And so that color means quite distinctive things in your cultural environment. Now, I spoke about India, and in India, it's very interesting how many colors have significance. Yellow, as an example, is a color used to sanctify many religious rituals. And this is likely because India has so many spices, and turmeric, which is used extensively in Indian cooking, is yellow in color, so it is seen as a purifying and sanctifying element of what you put in your body. And the color, therefore, becomes a purifying and sanctifying element of your religions. So that kind of connection between what you have in your environment and what colors become sacred in your culture is a very interesting parallel to draw on for a fantasy world builder. You can see the same applying with the color red. In the Western civilizations, red is often the danger color, stop. But in the Eastern civilization, red is often seen as a purifying color, a color of purity. I think that one of the elements that comes into play there is the association of the color red with fire, because in many cultures, fire is seen as a purifying element. If you like this exploration of colors in our world and what they mean to various cultures and my thoughts on how that came about, hit the thumbs up button. And let's talk a little bit about the role-playing system Houses of the Blooded by John Wick. The reason why I want to specifically focus in on this role-playing system is because what John Wick did was he put down specific meanings for color. And that can help us as world builders understand how we can think about colors as well. So Houses of the Blooded is a very fun role-playing system where you play a Ven. Now these Ven are the blooded, and they wear different colors to not just signify their mood, but also to signify in which stage of life they're in and how strongly they feel about events that they're attending. Black is the color of shame. Black is the color that you take when you're exiled, when you're embarrassed. Another way to think of this is like a song of ice and fire, where you take the black, you go to the wall. And that again is a mark of shame. Black is often used in this way in our cultures as well. So it's worth thinking about what color signifies shame within your culture. Red is the color of vengeance. Red is the color on which you swear. It's also the color of passion and love and romance. Why? Because they're two sides of the same coin in the Ven's way of thinking. It is interesting though, because in the Tsurani culture, which is designed by Raymond D. Feist and Jenny Wirtz on the planet of Kelawan, red is also the color of the killer god, the red god Turakana. And if you swear an oath of vengeance on your enemies, that oath is sworn using red dyes and red colors, and you would wear a red dress. So also think about red not just for its connotation to fire, but also its connotation to blood and the actions of swearing by your blood becoming relevant in that kind of vengeance-driven culture. Grey is the color of mourning, not the color of solace. The color of solace is white. So solace is when the Ven kind of enter this cocooned state and they almost go into a sleep where they guide their family. You know, they become part of the elders that guide the house. And when a family member enters solace, they would wear white. And those family members who are mourning their loss or who come to their party where they go into solace, they would also wear white. But grey is mourning. Somebody you know has died and not entered solace. And then you would wear grey. No Ven would ever wear yellow. Yellow is a mark of complete failure. No one would wear it. Now, the reason why yellow is such a forbidden color is because John Wick himself was massively affected by the play The King in Yellow. He thought it would be interesting to have such a forbidden color based on the yellow sign and the story, the yellow sign, and so on. So it's also worth thinking about whether you have such a color that is forbidden to wear. And then within your cultural context, why is that? Now, the Vens say that yellow will drive you mad, much the same way as the forbidden play, The King in Yellow, would drive you mad in the story. But in your world, it could be for any reason. It could be the color that attracts dragons. It could be the color that makes the gods come down. It could be a color that attracts the presence of demons. Whatever the case may be, does your culture have a forbidden color, and is there a magical impact of that color? Green is the color of springtime. It is the color of youth. Blue is the color of feeling studious, maybe studying a little. Lavender is the color of idle pleasure. It's the color you would wear if you're thinking, feeling cute today, might do something. Brown is the color of industry. Brown is when you're going to do real work, serious business work. And gold and silver is the flex of the blooded. Only Ven would ever wear gold and silver. It is their indication of rank. If you enjoyed this exploration of the meaning of colors within John Wick's system, Houses of the Blooded, please do hit the thumbs up button. And let's talk a little bit about how colors impact your world building that you show in your story or to your players. It is important to remember that noble houses are likely to have colors associated with them. We see it in our world, we see it in the Song of Ice and Fire, we see it in the world of the Tsurani with Raymond D. Feist on Kelawan. It is tradition that houses have colors associated with them, and those colors can come to have cultural meanings. Now, bear in mind that this includes things like how expensive is dyes and therefore how much of a flex is it. In our world, for example, purple, purpure, was the color reserved for royalty. Now, it didn't start out that way. it simply started out as the most expensive dye because purpura came from the sea slug that was found only off the coast of Tyre. So it was a heinously expensive dye, and hence it could only be bought by royalty and such like. And hence it eventually became reserved only for royal use. So it's worth thinking about how hard it is to manufacture certain dyes and how often what they dye needs to be re-dyed. Because things like a red dye, red fades quite easily in the sunlight. So if you have bright red colors, you might need to re-dye your clothing quite often. And that also is a way of flexing your wealth. It is also absolutely worth thinking about what impact colors and religion have. Remember I spoke about India and the yellow color used often in their religion? Well, what colors are used in your religion and why? Is there a spice that your people use in their food that has a strong color that has become associated with a religion? Or maybe there are shells that have certain colors that your people use, and those shells have become associated with the religion or with the clans that use them. In my world, in the desert of Siran Mashada, the desert tribes use shells which they plait into their hair to demonstrate their kinship to their immediate family and to their larger clan. Now, these shells have got very specific colors, and that is how you identify whether they are in this clan or this family or that family. It shows kinship. And that spills over to some extent into the religion as well, because the religion of Kisangi started out as the religion of the desert. So the desert tribes' dyes, the fact that they had access to blue dyes, to red dyes, and to yellow dyes because of the animals found in the desert, contributed enormously to those three primary colors being the driving colors in the religion that comes from Kisangi. And if you enjoyed that exploration of the impact of colors on culture, hit the thumbs up button. And let's talk a little bit about how you pick these colors and design these elements. So one of the most important things to decide is which colors. You can either organically go and say, these are the types of jewelry within my society, the types of gemstones they have access to. These are the type of dyes they have access to. These are the type of spices they have access to. This is what their winter looks like. It's white or it's brown. This is what their summer looks like. It's very green or maybe it's very yellow. And based on that, you can say, okay, the colors of my culture would be these and these and these colors. Or you can reverse engineer it and say, I want blue as a color. Now, how do I give them access to blue? Is there an animal with blue blood? Is there a plant that secretes some kind of substance that allows them to have blue dye? And therefore go from what you want and work backwards to what you need in order for it to feel organic in your culture. Things that you should think about for your colors is what color signifies purity, what color signifies mourning and death, what color would you wear at a wedding, and what color signifies conflict and war? What color signifies that rage that stands on the point of danger? It is also worth thinking about what means stop and what means go, and how those colors came about. And those are my thoughts on colors and cultures and what they mean to a fantasy world builder. If you enjoyed this video, you might very well enjoy my arts, patronage and culture video, which you can check out over there in the information card, or any of the other videos on my channel. If you want to support me in making more of these videos, there's a link to my Ko-fi page and my book down below. And I will see you soon for another episode of Just in Time Worlds.